The howl in the woods wind was cold that night. Jacob sat near the small fire inside his old wooden cabin. Outside, snow covered the ground, and the trees stood like frozen statues. He lived alone on the edge of the forest, far away from cities. And noise? It was peaceful until he heard the howl. The sound was long, low, and full of pain. It didn't sound like a wolf. It sounded ... sad. Jacob froze. He had heard wolves before. This was different. It felt like someone was calling out, not hunting. He grabbed his flashlight and coat. Curiosity pulled him outside. The snow crunched under his boots. The air bit his face, sharp and cold. He followed the sound deeper into the woods. Then he saw her. She was lying near the base of a tree, half buried in snow. Her skin was pale, almost glowing in the moonlight. Silver hair spread around her like silk. Her clothes were torn, and blood stained the snow. But what shocked Jacob most were her ears. They were pointed, and her eyes, even half closed, were golden and bright. "Hey," Jacob said softly, kneeling beside her. "Can you hear me?" Her eyes opened slowly. She looked straight at him. Fear, pain, and something else. Hope shined in her gaze. "Don't move," he whispered. "I'll help you." He wrapped his thick blanket around her. She flinched at first, but then relaxed. Her fingers gripped the blanket tightly, like it was the only safe thing in the world. Jacob gently lifted her and carried her back to the cabin. Inside, he placed her near the fire. He added more wood to make the flames stronger. He boiled water, brought some dry clothes, and covered her with a second blanket. She didn't speak. She just watched him with wide, glowing eyes. Her body shivered, but her hands never let go of the first blanket. Jacob gave her warm tea and helped her drink a little. "You're lucky I found you," he said. "What were you doing out there?" She didn't answer. Instead, she slowly reached out and touched his hand. Her skin was warm now, but her fingers trembled. "Chosen. One," she whispered. Jacob blinked. "What?" She pulled the blanket closer around herself. "You chose me. I just helped you," he said, confused. "You were hurt." Her golden eyes looked into his. "Yes, you chose." Jacob didn't understand, but he didn't ask more. Maybe she was still in shock. He let her rest. Curled up like a scared animal, wrapped in the blanket he had given her. Even in sleep, her hand stayed close to his coat. That night, Jacob sat by the fire, watching her. She looked peaceful now. No more pain in her face, but her strange words stayed in his mind. "You chose me." Who was she? Where did she come from? Why was she alone in the forest, wounded and afraid? Outside, the wind howled again, but this time, it felt like a warning. The bond is Medethi. Fire was low, crackling gently in the dark. Snow still fell outside, but inside the cabin, the girl slept under Jacob's blanket like a child holding a treasure. Her silver hair caught the firelight. Her breathing was slow, but calm now. Jacob had stayed awake most of the night. He didn't want to leave her alone, not after what happened in the forest. He didn't know what she was or where she came from, but something in his heart told him she needed help, or more than just shelter. When morning came, she opened her eyes, golden, sharp, focused on him like he was the only thing that mattered. "You stayed," she whispered. "Of course," Jacob said. "You were freezing out there." She sat up slowly, still holding his blanket. "You don't understand what you've done," Jacob frowned. "What do you mean?" "Protection. Your scent is on this," she said, touching the blanket. "You shared your safety with me." Her voice was soft but steady. "You've made the bond." "The bond?" Jacob raised an eyebrow. "What bond?" She stood, the blanket still around her shoulders. Then she showed him her wrist. A glowing symbol had appeared overnight. Mark. It looked like a crescent moon wrapped in a claw. Jacob looked at his own hand and froze. A similar mark was glowing faintly on his skin. "What is this?" he asked, alarmed. "The hunter's bond," she said. "My people, we are made by old blood. When a human gives us kindness with no fear, we are bound to them." The one who gives warmth becomes the chosen one, the only mate we recognize. Jacob laughed, half nervous. Wait, hold on, you're saying because I gave you a blanket, now you think we're married or something? Her eyes narrowed. Not married. Bonded. Soul to soul. Jacob stepped back. I was just helping you. But your help was pure, she said, stepping closer. You didn't want anything from me? You protected me without asking who or what I was? That is the law of our kind. Once made, the bond cannot break. Jacob felt dizzy. This was too much. Look, he said slowly. I don't even know your name. Lika, she replied. Daughter of the Moonclaws. Last of my pack. Jacob sat down. Okay, Lika. Let's say this bond is real. What does it mean for me? She looked toward the window. It means danger will follow. They will smell the bond on you. They will want to kill you, to break me. Were they? Jacob asked. Hunters. The ones who destroyed my kind, they hunt our blood. Now that I've bonded with you, they will come. As she spoke, the symbol on her wrist pulsed. Jacob shook his head. I didn't ask for this. Neither did I, she said gently. But it's done. Suddenly, a loud whir broke the silence. Something buzzed past the window. Jacob jumped and pulled Lika down. He crawled to the other side of the cabin. He peeked through the crack at a drone, black, sleek, and silent. It hovered like a vulture in the sky. That's not a regular drone, Jacob muttered. His eyes widened. They found us. How? The bond, she said. It glows like a signal to them. Jacob quickly grabbed his small bag, a flashlight, and his winter coat. We have to leave, he said. Double quotes, where? Deeper into the forest. I know a cave. It's hidden. No tech can find it. They ran snow crunched under their boots. Jacob led the way through thick trees and frozen paths. The cold stung, but he didn't stop. Behind him, Lika moved like a shadow. Quiet, alert. Her senses sharper than his. After an hour, they reached a rocky cliff. Jacob pointed there. Inside. They crawled into the cave. It was small, but dry and dark. Safe for now, Jacob leaned against the wall, breathing hard. I don't get it, he said. Why me? Why is one act of kindness enough to cause all this? Lika looked at him, eyes shining in the dark. Because you didn't see a monster. When you looked at me, you saw someone who needed help. In our world, that makes you more than human. It makes you rare. Jacob looked at the glowing mark on his hand. Rare, chosen, hunted. He never wanted this, but somehow, part of him didn't. Want to run from it either? Outside, far in the distance? The sound of metal footsteps echoed through the trees. They were coming. The hunter's marked cave was cold and quiet, but Jacob couldn't sleep. His mind kept replaying Lika's words about the bond, the mark, the hunters. He looked at his hand. The strange symbol glowed faintly like a heartbeat under the skin. It didn't hurt, but it pulsed as if it were alive. Lika sat across from him. Her golden eyes were half closed, but her ears twitched at every sound outside. You've never bonded before? Jacob asked in a whisper. Never, she replied. Our kind only bonds once in a lifetime. I never thought it would be with a human. Jacob nodded slowly. Do you regret it? No, she said. But I fear what it means for you, he sighed. I just gave you a blanket. She smiled, a small, sad smile. And you gave me more than that: warmth, trust, safety. My people believe that such kindness is a vow. Jacob rubbed his eyes. I still don't understand why I feel different. Lika stood up and walked over to him. She gently took his hand and placed it against her wrist. When the marks touched, a spark of light passed between them. Jacob's vision blurred. Suddenly, he saw images brief, broken pieces of memory that weren't his. A burning village under a red sky. Children with glowing eyes. Hiding in a cave, a tall alien hunter with blades for arms, dragging a silver-haired girl away. Jacob pulled his hand back, breathing hard. What was that? Our memories, Lika said. The bond lets us see each other's truths. Now, a part of me lives in you, and a part of you lives in me. Jacob sat in stunned silence. Before he could reply, a sudden click echoed outside. The cave. They froze. Click. Click. Hiss. Metal steps. Not human. Dot. Eyes narrowed. She reached for a curved blade she had hidden in her boot. They're here, Jacob whispered. How many? 2, maybe 3. I can smell the chemicals. In their blood. Jacob carefully picked up a heavy branch and nodded. What do we do? We survive, she said. The first hunter entered the cave. It was tall, almost 7 feet. Its armor was bone white, with black claws extending from its fingers. Instead of eyes, it had a glowing red slit on its facehub. It looked at Jacob first, then at Lika. Target located, it said in a cold robotic voice. Initiating extraction. You'll have to go through me, Jacob said, raising the branch. The hunter tilted its head. You are irrelevant. Lika leapt forward, her form blurred midair, her claws extended, her fangs bared. She struck the hunter's chest, knocking it back into the snow outside the cave. Jacob ran after them. The second hunter dropped from a tree above. Jacob ducked just in time as a blade slashed past his neck. He rolled in the snow and grabbed a broken stone. Meanwhile, Lika fought like a stormfast, wild and angry. She moved like a dancer, but every move was deadly. But she was still weak. She stumbled, and the first hunter grabbed her by the throat. Jacob didn't think. He rushed forward and slammed the stone into the side of the hunter's helmet. The blow wasn't strong, but it was enough. The hunter dropped Lika. She gasped for air, then roared. Golden light exploded from her mark. It wrapped around her claws like fire. She sliced the hunter's chest open with one clean strike. Sparks flew. The creature fell. Jacob turned, but the second hunter was already lunging at him. He closed his eyes, crack. The hunter stopped mid-air. A sharp blade pierced through its chest from behind. Another girl stood behind it, taller than Lika, with darker silver hair and glowing red eyes. The hunter dropped. Dead. Jacob stared at the new girl. Lika stood up slowly, breathing hard. Rhea. Hello, little sister, Rhea said coldly. So this is the human you bonded with? Jacob stepped back. You know her? She's my blood, Lika said. But we are not allies. Rhea smiled. The Council of Fang sent me. They want to see this chosen one with their own eyes. Jacob narrowed his eyes. And if they don't like me, then you die, Rhea said softly. Fangs and the Farino drifted down slowly as the 3 figures stood in silence. Lika and Rhea. The wind whispered through the trees, but no one moved. The air felt thick with tension, like something ancient was watching. Jacob's heartbeat pounded. He was surrounded by 2 alien werewolf sisters, one who had bonded with him by accident, and one who might kill him if he wasn't worthy. Rhea took a step closer, her red eyes locked onto Jacob's glowing hand. The bond is real, she said flatly. But it is unstable. The human is too weak. He saved me, Lika growled. He risked his life for me twice. A bond forged by accident is not enough, Rhea said coldly. The council demands proof, Jacob spoke up. Proof of what? Rhea turned to him. Your strength, your heart, your loyalty to our kind. You must pass the trial by flame. If you fail, we break the bond by force, and you both die. Jacob's breath caught in his throat. What kind of trial?
Rhea
raised her hand. Fire suddenly lit up around them in a perfect circle, no fuel, no matches, just alien fire born from old magic. It burned cold and blue, humming with energy. Stepped between Jacob and the flames. He's not ready. Yes. He has no choice, Rhea said. If the hunters can smell the bond, so can the elders. If he is to live, he must prove himself. Now, Jacob stepped forward. Then let's do it. Rhea nodded once. Step into the circle. Jacob looked at Lika. She touched his face gently. You don't have to do this. Yes, he said, I do. He walked into the blue fire. It didn't burn, but it wasn't gentle either. His body felt heavy, his heart raced. The mark on his hand glowed brighter. Suddenly he wasn't in the forest anymore. The flames around him melted into darkness. He stood in an empty world, black as night, but lit by silver stars above. And out of the shadows came whispers, voices. You're just a human. You're nothing without her. She'll run away like the others. Jacob clenched his fists. I'm not running. The whispers turned into shape-shadow beasts with eyes like fire. They lunged at him. Jacob had no weapons, no strength. Like Lika, but he remembered something. The first night, her face, her pain, her fear, and her trust in him. He roared and tackled the first shadow beast. It clawed at his chest, but he didn't let go. He wrestled it down, using nothing but willpower and fire from within. One by one, he fought them all. Every time he fell, he got back up. The final shadow stood tall, twice his size. With glowing red eyes and a familiar voice, you're not the chosen one. You're just a boy with a blanket. Jacob smiled through bloody lips. Then let that be enough. He charged the moment he struck. The shadow exploded into light. Suddenly, Jacob was back in the circle. The blue fire vanished, fell to one knee, panting, soaked in sweat. Rhea's eyes were wide. He did it. Lika ran to him, holding him. Up, Jacob. He nodded weakly. I'm still here. Rhea turned away. The bond has accepted him. The power is his now. But the path ahead will only get harder. Jacob looked down at his hand. The mark had changed. Now, it looked like a claw wrapped in flame with a tiny silver star at its center. What does it mean? He asked. LYK smiled, but it was sad. You're no longer just my protector now. You're part of our bloodline. Rhea spoke again. But there's something you must know. The hunters aren't the only ones chasing us. Jacob stood slowly. What do you mean? Rhea pointed toward the mountain beyond the forest. A message has been sent, an ancient one. The queen is waking, and she wants to see the human who carries the mark. Jacob frowned. Queen of what? Rhea's voice lowered. Queen of the first moon, mother of all our kind. If she finds you unworthy, no one will stop her from ripping the bond on your soul apart. Lika looked at Jacob, her eyes full of fear and love. Gave me a blanket. Now the fate of our people may rest in your hands. Jacob nodded slowly. Then we go to the mountain, he said. Secrets of the blood-length journey to the mountain was not easy. Jacob, Lika, and Rhea moved through deep forest paths, crossed frozen rivers, and climbed cliffs no human had touched. Snow fell like whispers from the sky, and strange howls followed. Them in the distance? Jacob's body ached. The trial of the flame had left him bruised inside and out, but something inside him felt stronger now. A voice had awakened. The mark on his hand glowed brighter each day. Sometimes it felt hot, sometimes cold. And each time Lika touched it, her own mark pulsed in return. You feel it too? He asked her as they rested beside a frozen stream. LYKA nodded. The bond is growing, changing us. Jacob looked at the sky. I don't understand how any of this is possible. It was just a guy in a cabin. Rhea, who rarely spoke unless needed, finally turned to face him. You were never just a man. Jacob raised a brow. What do you mean? Rhea stood and took out a small stone from a pouch. It shimmered with silver light. Look into it. He did. His reflection shimmered, and then changed. He saw visions brief but powerful. A baby placed gently in snow by a woman with golden eyes. A burning ship above the sky. A man with dark hair and a wolf tattoo handing the baby to a human couple in secret. A whisper. He must live among them until the time comes. Jacob gasped and dropped the stone. LYKA caught him before he fell. What did you see me? Jacob said, breathless. I saw my real beginning. Rhea's voice was cold and certain. You carry the blood of the moonborn, not full, but enough. You were hidden on Earth, protected, watched. Watched? Jacob asked. By who? Lika looked away. My mother. The queen. She knew you were special, but she feared you. Jacob's world turned upside down again. So, ... I'm one of you. Not fully, Rhea said. But enough. That the bond could form. Enough that the queen will either claim you or destroy you. Jacob looked down at his mark. It now had faint silver lines running through it, veins of light. So this isn't just about kindness anymore, is it? Lika shook her head. No, you were always meant to awaken something. And now, the queen will judge what you've become. They continued climbing. As they neared the peak, the world grew silent. No wind, no birds, just cold. And then they saw her. The queen stood at the edge of a stone platform carved into the mountain. Tall, beautiful, terrible. Silver hair like a river. Golden eyes that glowed like twin suns. Her armor shimmered like the night sky. Around her, shadows danced, silent guards with curved blades. Jacob stepped forward, trying to hide his fear. The queen looked at him. You came, she said. Softly, her voice echoed across the mountain. The blanket giver. The firewalker. The human boy who now holds the ancient mark. Jacob swallowed hard. I didn't ask for this. And yet it is yours, she replied. Tell me, do you love my daughter? Lika's eyes widened. Jacob hesitated. I don't know if it's love, but I know I would die to protect her. And I know she saved me as much as I saved her. The queen walked slowly toward him. Then prove it, she said. Take her pain. Jacob didn't understand until she touched his chest. His vision burned white. Pain filled him, sharp, deep, and endless. Her memories flooded him, like his childhood, the loss of her pack, nights she cried alone in caves, the shame she carried for surviving when others didn't. It was more than he could handle. But he didn't fall. He stood, shaking tears in his eyes. She was alone, he whispered, but not anymore. The queen looked at him with strange sorrow. You carry the pain, but can you carry the bloodline? A huge roar echoed through the clouds. The stone shook. What is that? Jacob shouted. The final guardian, the queen said. You must face it. Alone. Only then will I accept the bond. A beast climbed over the mountain, massive, covered in ice and flame, with 6 eyes and black wings. Its howl split the sky. Lyka stepped forward. He can't fight that. Jacob held out his hand. No, I have to. This is what fate chose. Lika took his hand, kissed his mark, then come back to me. Jacob faced the beast. His heart thundered, but his steps were steady as he walked into battle. The mark on his hand lit up fully blazing silver, gold, and red dot, and for the first time, he felt it. He wasn't just human anymore. The blood awakens no burst into the sky as the giant beast slammed its claw into the mountain, roaring like thunder. He stood his ground, eyes locked on the monster. His body trembled not from fear, but from something rising. Inside him, a force deep in his blood. The mark on his hand burned with silver and gold light, pulsed with power that wasn't just alien, it was ancient. Above him, the queen and Lika watched in silence. Rhea stood with her arms crossed. It's unreadable, the beast charged again. Jacob dodged just in time, rolling across the stone platform. Creature's claw shattered the ground where he stood seconds before. Chunks of ice flew in every direction. Jacob reached for a fallen spear from one of the queen's guards. It was too heavy, but when his fingers wrapped around it, the metal glowed. The spear lifted icily. Why? The mark on his hand answered with light. He wasn't just chosen anymore. He was linked to Lika, to the bloodline, to the old power hidden. In their race for centuries, the beast turned slower this time, unsure. Jacob stood tall, holding the spear like it was made for him. His heart was calm now. He charged. The fight was chaos. The beast swung its tail, breaking pillars. Jacob leapt onto its back, driving the glowing spear into its shoulder. It howled and twisted, trying to throw him off. He held on, using every ounce of strength. This ends now, he yelled. The spear pulsed. A blast of golden energy surged from it, exploding through the creature's body. Light filled its 6 eyes. With one last cry, it collapsed, shaking the mountain. Silence. Jacob stood atop its body, panting, bleeding, but alive. He stumbled down, landing on one knee. His vision blurred. He felt warm arms catch Himlica. "You did it," she whispered. The queen stepped forward. Even she looked surprised. "The beast of judgment has not fallen in 1,000 years. Not until now." Jacob looked up at her. "Was that enough for you?" The queen nodded slowly. "Yes, more than enough." But before anyone could celebrate, a loud sound echoed through the sky like metal grinding against metal. Raya suddenly looked alarmed. "No, not now." Black ships appeared above the mountain, sharp, fast, and deadly. They weren't from Lyca's people. They were the pureblood hunters, those who hated any bond between human and werewolf, those who had been watching from the shadows, waiting for the bond to mature. The queen's guards raised their weapons, but they were too late. The sky exploded with fire. Energy blasts rained down. The platform cracked apart. Jacob pulled Lyca close, shielding her with his body. Around them, chaos unfolded. The queen stood in the center, her power rising. Her hands lifted, and a shield of light formed, but it flickered. Even her strength was not enough to stop a full invasion. "They've come to break the bond," Raya shouted. "Why now?" Jacob asked, pushing rubble off his back. "Because they fear what you are becoming," Lyca said. As the hunters landed, their leader stepped forward. Tall, black armor for glowing red eyes. His voice was like a sword cutting the wind. "Hand over the human. End the bloodline mistake, or all will die." Jacob stood up, bleeding, weaponless but unafraid. "You're too late," he said. "I've already become what you fear." The hunter leader raised his weapon. Before he could fire, the queen stepped in front of Jacob. "You want the bloodline? Then face me." They clashed light against shadow. Jacob, Lyca, and Raya fought beside her. It was a war on stone and sky. Every strike shook the mountain. Jacob's mark flared brighter and brighter until his body couldn't hold it anymore. Suddenly, he collapsed. His body floated in midair. Light poured from his chest. The mark expanded, forming a glowing circle under him. Strange symbols appeared. Around it, ones no one had seen in centuries. Are its eyes widened? "No, this is impossible. What is it?" Lyca asked, holding Jacob's hand. Raya's voice was shaking. "He's not just bonded. He's the bloodline. He's the key. The firstborn of two worlds." The hunter leader saw it too. "Kill him now." He roared, but it was too late. Jacob opened his eyes, no longer brown, but shining gold and silver. The sky above split open, and a beam of light came down, wiping out the hunter's ships in a single blast. The mountain shook, but held firm. When the light faded, Jacob stood on solid ground again. Taller, glowing, changed. Everyone stared in silence. "What are you now?" Lyca whispered. Jacob looked at her, his voice deeper, steadier. "I don't know, but I feel everything. Your pain, the fear, the bond, the beginning." The queen stepped forward, lowering her head. "We once feared humans. Now one of them has become the bridge between stars." The chosen one's reckoning mountain was broken. Snow drifted over the battlefield like ash after a fire. The bodies of hunters lay frozen in stone, their armor cracked, their weapons melted. The queen's guards were wounded but alive. Stood at the center, glowing like a fallen star, his eyes still burning silver and gold. Beside him stood Lyca, her hand in his, and Raya silent. Alert, but even with victory in their hands, none of them smiled. Because of the voice that had echoed from the shadows, "She's coming. The one who is never bound." To Lyca, "Who is she?" Lyca's voice was quiet, heavy with fear. "She was the queen before my mother. She ruled when our kind were beasts without rules. She believed only in power and blood, no peace, no bonds, no love," Raya added. "They called her the first flame. She was exiled beyond the stars, locked away. Something must have broken. The seal." Jacob looked at his hand. The mark had changed again, now pulsing with silver fire. "And she's coming here." to destroy the bond itself. Far above, the sky turned red. Not like sunset burning red. A second sun appeared in the heavens. But it wasn't a sun. It was a ship. No, something alive. A living flame shaped like a woman, flying through space like a comet, Jacob whispered. That's her? Rhea nodded once. Run if you want. You have done enough. Jacob shook his head. No, I didn't come this far to watch everything burn. Lika squeezed his hand. You stay, I stay. So do I, Rhea said. Took our past. She won't take our future. The queen raised her blade. Then let us end it together. The sky screamed. A burst of fire shot down, hitting the mountain and cracking the very earth. And from the center of the flame, she walked out. The first flame. She looked like them but older. Taller, her hair was pure fire, her eyes black. And endless. She wore no armor, only burning chains wrapped around her body like a curse. How touching, she said, smiling. The half-blood boy, the traitor queen, the bonded fool. You don't belong here, the queen said. Neither do you, the first flame whispered. And with one wave, she blasted the queen backward into stone. Jacob ran to shield her, but Rhea and Lika leapt between them. You defend him? First flame asked, her voice echoing across the snow. He is not one of us. He is the end of what we are. No, Jacob said, stepping forward. I'm not your end. I'm your beginning. He raised his hand. Light exploded. The mark on his palm opened into a shape like a door. From within it, voices whispered, memories, kindness, courage, the bond itself. The light wrapped around him, then around Lika, then Rhea. It connected them all, lines of fire and memory. The first flame screamed, You dare use the bond against me. She charged. Her fists burned as she flew toward Jacob, aiming to strike his heart. But as her hand touched his chest, something changed. Her flames died out. Her power broke. Jacob looked into her eyes and didn't see a monster anymore. He saw a woman who had once been alone, rejected, feared, just like White. Just like him. You were the first, he said softly. But no one ever gave you a blanket. She gasped, just for a second. The chains around her burned brighter. Her body trembled, and then she fell to her knees. You don't have to burn anymore, Jacob said. Behind him, the queen stood slowly, her wounds glowing with healing light. It's not power that binds us, it's mercy. The first flame wept not with weakness, but with release. For the first time in eons, she let go of the fire. The sky above cleared, the red sun vanished, and the mountain was calm again. A few days later, the tribe rebuilt, new homes, new bonds. Jacob stood at the edge of the forest, watching the stars with Lika beside him. Do you ever miss the quiet life? She asked. Sometimes, he said, but this is better. She leaned into him. You're more than my chosen one now. Jacob smiled. You were the first person who ever looked at me like I was more than just human. Rhea walked over, handing him something, a small folded piece of cloth. Your old blanket, she said. We saved it. Jacob laughed softly. This started everything, and it will remind you, Lika said, that kindness is never small. Jacob looked at the stars, at the new world he now belonged to, no longer just a human, no longer just a helper, but the chosen. Bridge between two species, a protector of the bond, final closing line, and all it took was a blanket and a heart willing to share its warmth.